Hi, everyone, and welcome to the special simulcast, the Neil Hayes Show and the Cutting Edge Benefits Podcast with Tom Quigley of Claim Links. Tom, we're going to talk about overcoming objections today. And you'll say, why? Because here's the thing, it's a no-brainer. I know I passed someone on to you that does business consulting, and he was absolutely blown away saying, how is there a solution like this? Because people don't think they can get better benefits and lower their healthcare costs. So we're going to talk about objections. Why, when you present the solution to other business owners, do they say, I got the types of objections? So let's go with the number one objection first, once you present the solution to somebody.
We're all set. Our agent takes care of us.
Not saying anything more.
Nope.
And in detail, tell why that's the biggest, dumbest objection.
Well, it's generally coming from the HR director or office manager who has no right even doing the benefits for a company. Anybody who lets them make the decision on their second or third biggest expense needs more help than Tom Quigley. It's insane. That objection. And then I always ask, what do they do for you? And they have no answers. And my favorite one is, what are you paying a year? And they say $1 million. And I say, so if I save you $500,000, in your 10% profit margin, that's a $5 million sale that your agent's costing you. Is he worth a $5 million sale? And by the way, how many $5 million sales do you have?
And that is always the best when you say that. And they don't have any.
The owners get it, but the owners aren't on the call. That's shame on them.
Interesting. Why aren't the owners on the call? That's part of the whole.
Because they've checked out. Similar to CPAs, they're like ostriches. They have their head in the sand. And all I'm doing is saying, hey, don't do it this way, guys. That's insane. Do it this way. But they don't equate that the cost of health insurance to the company is a direct hit on their value. They don't get that.
Right.
They really don't. Because if they did, you wouldn't ever not be involved.
And what types of businesses do you see that? Because you're serving employees from.
I see it from everyone. Some of the white collar companies, the attorneys, the engineers, they think that they're too smart. They think they're the smartest people in a room. And there's no way that something this simple could save them that kind of money. Because there's always got to be a catch in their eyes. So it's always, they're too smart for their own good.
Interesting. And that's the first objection. I'm just going to talk to my rep, because the relationships with reps are a lot of the problem to get somebody from one vendor to the next, is that they have such a great relationship with the rep. They don't mind paying them every year, and just don't worry about it anymore.
Well, I always, another question I asked this today actually on one is if your rep is so important to you, why don't you save $500,000? They're only making 30,000. Pay them the 30,000 so that you can save the money. Hell, give them a raise. Give them 50,000 just for being a good friend and ripping them off for the last 20 years.
Because they're paying a heck of a lot more than just 50,000 at the end of the day. So just give them the $50,000 commission.
Well, you get to net save 450.
Right.
And then the owners are always like, well, why the hell would I do that? Well, why the hell aren't you involved?
And so they allow the HR. So let's talk about another objection.
Mm-hmm. This sounds too good to be true.
So that's the second number two objection you hear all the time. Too good to be true.
Yeah. So when you did research on Section 105B of the Internal Revenue Code, what did it tell you? It didn't, because you didn't do any research. If you do any amount of research, you come to the conclusion this not only is it not too good to be true, It's a no-brainer. It's a math problem.
That's crazy. I mean, and so
They're
they
not,
don't do
it's
the,
not their money. You have office managers and HR directors.
and they
It's
don't
their,
let, and the
they
upper
don't
chain
care.
does not want to have that conversation. And
What was
they're
that? The owners, yeah.
the owners don't. Hmm.
No. You know, and the other big one, HR and office managers are, I'm already so busy. I don't have time for this.
Yes, because they are busy and don't have time for this. So I wonder when A1 takes over their jobs. Would
I mean,
AI want to have that conversation?
well, you know, all of our stuff's recorded. So when they say that, I send it to the employer saying, yeah, this is your problem.
And have you gotten responses back sometimes from that? Once you send it
Uh,
to,
well, you know, they take it in, you know, they think that's abrasive or whatever. But my point is, hey, it's shame on you. It's not shame on them. You allow that kind of attitude to run around, you know. It's your choice. I don't care.
I
It's
mean,
not my money.
it makes so much sense. And then let's just talk about, you work with different levels. 10 employees is what your starting point, right? Most of the time.
I'll help anyone if they're willing to listen.
So when they
But
have X amount of
key word,
employees,
key
listen.
word.
Where do you see coverage? Like, do you see a lot of companies with 10 employees and they're covering the whole healthcare thing? Or are
Well,
you seeing a
most of them are
lot?
splitting that's the sad part. Most of them are splitting it with their employees. And they have shitty benefits, $5,000 deductibles, and they're asking their employees to pay 300-400 a month for health coverage on them. And they pay the other half. And it's like, wait a minute. So if I save you money, that in turn can help you lower the cost for the employees and give them better benefits. Both are a win-win for them. So why aren't you doing that? Isn't your job to be a fiduciary responsible for your employees? If this was a 401k, you could go to jail. You should go to jail for this.
Wow. All right, another objection.
My fraternity brother's my agent.
Okay. That's a little hard to.
I had that, a Minnesota company. And the guy was going to save $2 million and he wouldn't do it because his fraternity brother. And I said to him what I said earlier. I said, he only makes probably 50,000. Why don't you give him $250,000? Why don't you buy him a house and you can still save $1 million?
So do they get commissions about $50,000 each one
Well, commissions plus bonuses. Yeah, absolutely.
for just one gig, for
Mhm.
one sale?
Yeah.
So what are those sales reps doing, making a year?
I don't really know what they do, to be candid with you.
And what yeah. So that's they're all making money, but that's just terrible. So the
Well, and then
objection.
the individual coverage, their new thing is, well, if that's too much, you should do an individual coverage HRA. Hi, yeah, makes 0 cents compared to a medical expense plan, and we're going to charge you all these fees. And why are you going to charge these fees for what? You're giving them $8,000 out of pockets if they have a stay in the hospital or a big surgery. What do you? What I mean, really, we used to drink a beer in college called Buckhorn. It was awful. It's putrid. So I had to do like 4 or 5, 6 beer bongs before I could. And after that, I thought it was good. I think health insurance is the same way. You gotta, it's like, oh, this taste sucks. And then all of a sudden, once you're, feeling good, man, it's good. They've got to be feeling good to be able to, pay. I mean, like the New York City company paid 5,700 a family. I told the insurance agent he could be the greatest salesperson I ever saw to convince somebody to pay nearly 70,000 a year for family health insurance coverage is unbelievable. I mean, think about the sales techniques you have to use to convince somebody to take that. It's incredible.
You gotta be a sales guru.
I mean, that guy should be out teaching class like the guy, from what was the Wolf of Wall Street guy.
Yeah. How
Same
to get
stuff.
students.
Yeah.
All right. Other objections. So the crazy thing in this podcast, there's not many objections, but I want to hear another one.
They're all personal. None of them are, I don't understand my current health plan. I don't understand your health insurance, what you're saying. Okay. Do you understand your current health insurance? No. So
There's a problem.
so how are you going to understand if you want to duplicate what you're doing, which you don't understand and you openly admit it? At least you're being honest. Congrats. Um, why would you? Why would you then do the same thing? That makes no sense. So why wouldn't you make it more logical so
Right.
you could understand it? And they don't that's all they're doing is making excuses so that they don't, in their eyes, they have to work harder, and they don't, they're underpaid in their eyes. And how dare, you know well, I'm not going to change. They're not giving me a raise, because they can't even equate that. If they're on the health plan, if they pay half the cost themselves, they got a raise. They don't even get that. That's the scary part. And they're in charge for all these poor employees, these poor suckers who are there making a paycheck, working their asses off. And some lady who eats bonbons up front, or a guy, and literally is making the decision on 10%, and maybe sometimes for families 20% of what they make. These people are making the choice, and they got their GED 2 years ago after spending a year in rehab, and they're making the decisions for the company.
It's unbelievable. And so most of them are personal objections. So when you're working with your sales team, any other objections? Not understanding healthcare, that is a true thing.
Mm-hmm.
That a workshop that you can bring, and all that. So
Oh, another
yeah,
one. I don't believe these numbers.
yeah, you don't believe these numbers.
And I say, I don't believe in breathing. I just do.
Do you have?
But
But you have that all in these use cases, and you have your
they,
calculator and all these different things.
they don't believe it. Well, of course, when you don't want to do something, everything's if the truth, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, unless your money or your ass is on them.
Yeah, my only objection for my business is cost, nothing else.
Well,
That's
then
it.
yeah, well,
Yeah,
that's how most owners are, and that's the sad part. They're not involved for whatever reason. They feel bad to take that away from Susie or Julie or Timmy or Danny or whatever. I don't care. It's like, throw them all out, get them out of here.
yeah, absolutely. Okay.
But
Well,
that's what's happening.
absolutely, and I think that the opportunity is huge. I was thinking there are more objections. I think
Oh,
too good,
there are.
but they're all very. They're not like.
Well, I'll give you another good one. Is I don't think this is legal. And I say, when you did the research on the medical expense reimbursement plan that rides under Section 105B, and you probably read our books, the last 30 pages shows revenue after revenue ruling supporting what we do. And our DOL and IRS that has looked at everything probably doesn't mean anything either. But why would you make statements like that if you haven't done any research? Because they're trying to, the funniest one is, I always tell them, if you get your tax attorney or your accountant involved, you can get the ostrich's head out of the sand. Then what happens is they always tell them, yeah, you can do this. The problem is they call up the office manager, HR director calls up the current agent and asks them what they think of our program. I had one agent in Indiana who literally did a PowerPoint against why they shouldn't use our program, and he didn't even understand our program. I watched it and I was laughing my ass off with the CFO. The CFO and I were laughing. We were like going, "Oh my God, this is hilarious. This is nothing what you do."
So they
And I'm
go
like,
and they give the referral by going and contacting the HR, which has no idea, instead of contacting the CEO or CFO.
well, yeah, but the HR director, think about that. The HR director gave them information about what they were considering doing, and they did a PowerPoint about our solution, and it was totally inaccurate. I would have fired the HR director on the spot if I was the owner. What, you did what?
So it's not too good to be true. It is really good. As Tom has had
Yeah,
many people
yeah.
on the podcast who have explained how much they have benefited from ClaimLink's solution. Tom needs to bring more people on and drag them in to talk about ClaimLink's solution. That's the key thing.
Pull them in, get them
Exactly.
on. I
Exactly.
think they're I
And
think
we're
they're afraid of you, Neil. I think they're
and,
afraid of you, this towering ex-wrestler.
yeah. We can lamb it, but also we are offering any sales rep that sells insurance, health insurance, to come on the program and talk to Tom.
Debate.
Yeah, a debate your solution versus Tom's solution.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it. I'd love to hear one of these individual coverage HRA fanatics to come on and explain to me how that what they're doing is better than a medical expense reimbursement plan and how they get such ridiculous fees for doing nothing.
I might have somebody, but he's not that, but he might think his solution's better than your solution. And I find that an entertaining show. So we will go to claimlinks.com. Trust me, I have listened to what Tom has taught me more about healthcare than I ever want to know about healthcare. And the honest truth is, lower your benefits. I mean, lower your costs, give better benefits to your employees, and your employees will be happy and not want to quit in a couple of weeks when they're wishing they're out the door. If you don't give them good benefits, they're going to go out the door. So I appreciate it, Tom. That was the special
Thank you.
simulcast of the Neil Haley Show and the Cutting Edge Benefits podcast, guys. Take care.